So I am very excited to be here with Gina Prince-Bythewood for a wonderful interview for The Old Guard, which is coming out on Netflix this Friday. Gina, thank you so very much for talking to me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So right before we came on to this this actual interview, we talked a little bit about jazz, and just wanted to give her a shout out because she does run the Hollywood Critics Association with me, and she loves you and she loves this film, and I will second her and say I love this movie too.
No, it's great to hear.
I've been an admirer of your work. I know that you start off in television. You went on to do a lot of films, smaller budget movies. Love and Basketball is wonderful. Beyond the Lights, also love that film. Tell me a little bit about, first and foremost, going into like a big adaptation like this. Is it nerve-wracking to take on a project of this scale?
Absolutely. Which is why it was important that when I made this jump to the big sandbox, that it was a story that I was excited and passionate about. This has been a 2-year journey, so to maintain that focus, to shoulder the pressure that you have when there's this much money involved, again, you have to be passionate about the story. So I loved Greg's writing. I loved his graphic novel. I loved his adaptation. I love Skydance, who are just the best, and they love movies, they love film, they're so respectful to filmmakers and directors, and so it just felt like a very warm environment that I was brought into. The fact that they were very intentional on wanting a female director for this property that they had, which, as we know, is pretty rare in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that what got me into the room, and that's all we want the opportunity to get in the room and then let us show you that we could do what we do. The reason I got in the room is because of Love and Basketball and Beyond the Lights. And they said that what I brought to those films and those characters, they wanted for The Old Guard. So it was just a really perfect situation. And having that, that kind of team behind you does give you confidence, but it's a reality. I talked a lot of smack to get the gig, and because you have to project confidence that you can do it. And of course, I did believe I could do it, but I did know there would be some learning curve. And I remember walking out after they said I had it and sitting in my car, and it was euphoria. And then suddenly like, oh my God, I got to do this and back it up. But that kind of fear of failure and pressure fuels me. Because you need that. You can never get complacent in something like that. It's too big, but you focus on telling the story first, no matter how much money you have. And that thought really grounded me throughout the process.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say this enough. I think you did such a phenomenal job with this film, especially like the action sequences, which I know a lot of people struggle with when they have not done this before, but you just nailed them. And I mean, it's not even like you use too much of the slow-mo CGI tactics. You really just went in there. And I mean, I appreciated the raw fight scenes, and I thought you just knocked it out of the park.
Oh, thank you. I love action, and I've been an athlete my whole life. I kickboxed for a couple of years. So like I know what I like to see. I know what looks real to me and what doesn't. And I just had a couple templates that I wanted to use. And also I put such an incredible team around me with Jeff Haberstad and Danny Hernandez and Bryson Counts. Like I wanted the best to help me realize my vision. And the beautiful thing was, because I have a background of a fighter, we were able to talk in that language, and they were able to see early on, oh, she does know what she's talking about. But, The Raid was one of my templates, absolutely, and Zero Dark 30, wanting that grounded, real feel to the action. And the perfect fight that I have ever seen is the bathroom fight in MI6. That was my bar. Like I want that for the plane fight. And, they said, well, they had 4 weeks to shoot that, and we have 4 days to shoot the plane fight. But like, let's go for it. Let's try and reach for greatness. And at least in trying, you're going to give your all for it. So I was excited about working with a great group of people.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk to you all day about all the people you worked with at this film, but there's two main people that I think we do need to address and touch upon. Um, Charlize Theron, who I feel like has only in the last maybe decade has really climbed the ropes and has become a household name, even though she was making movies like The Devil's Advocate back in like the 90s and Astronaut's Wife. She's really just become a household name within this last decade. Working with her, having the opportunity to work with her, I know that filmmakers, actors usually learn something from filmmakers. Is there something that you learned as a filmmaker from her?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I guess what I learned, even though I knew a little bit, but in casting her, one of the big things, one, she's a very good actress. And two, I knew as a director, I could trust that she knew the amount of work that had to go into being able to really be able to shoot her doing the fights, be it really her in the action sequences, because that allowed me to tell the story within each sequence and have them be character driven and emotional. But it was really dope to see how hard she worked. Like, she put everything, shut down everything to prepare herself for this. And so once we get to set and we're doing 14, 15, 16 takes, she wouldn't quit. She wouldn't say, oh, it's good enough. It can't be good enough because, sorry, my dog is scratching.
No worries. No, trust me. No worries. I love dogs.
If it's not on set, it's not going to be in the editing room. And so that work ethic was something that certainly I have in my life, and it was really great to see that from her. And that was something that then the other actors like Kiki and Marwan and Luca and Matthias could look to, and knowing that, damn, we got to step up to that level as well.
Yeah, and of course you just mentioned Kiki, who I mean, she's relatively new to the scene, but man, does she just have an on-screen presence like none other. I mean, I remember seeing her in Beale Street and being blown away by her performance. And then I watch her in this, which is a totally different type of role for her. But she goes head to head with Charlize, and their back and forth banter really, I think, is almost like a character or a selling point for this movie on its own. What is it about her? What do you see in her that makes her so demanding, like her presence so demanding?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kiki has that thing. It's a thing that makes you want to watch her. It makes you care about her. It's this innate vulnerability that she has that connects us as an audience to her. I mean, not to mention, obviously, her face is luminous, but she also has this innate strength that not everybody has. And I needed to believe her. That's the thing. When you do an action film, it's not enough to learn the choreography and do the moves. We have to believe the intention behind every punch and kick. And we have to believe that you could really beat someone's ass. And not everybody has that, but she had that, which is so striking given Beale Street, where she's so soft, in that film. So it was a great surprise in the audition to see Nile come alive after I'd been searching for a good amount of time. She just had that beautiful combination. And then for me to sit down and talk with her after and try to impart on her how hard she was going to have to work, because she didn't play sports when she was younger. And she'd never been in an action film, never done any training whatsoever. But I trusted her because she said, I will do everything it takes to be able to embody Nile in the right way. And she did.
Yeah. Not to switch topics too quickly, but I know that you have a lot of interviews and you've done a lot today. But something that I feel very personally about, one of the reasons why I created the Hollywood Critics Association, is to embrace inclusion, diverse voices. And I remember a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to see a documentary called Half the Picture, which you were in. And I want to know from your perspective as a Black filmmaker and storyteller in this industry, who's been in this industry since the 90s. Do you feel like change is really happening, and how has that growth changed over your career?
Mm-hmm.
You could be honest.
Yeah, no, it's a weird thing because there are times when I do think that there's a change happening, you know, where you look at what Ryan Coogler did with Black Panther. I mean, absolutely changed the game, changed culture. You see a number of filmmakers coming out and doing a diversity of content, which I'm excited about, that we're not just getting one thing, but there's just unique filmmakers coming out and doing different work. And I get excited, and then the numbers come out, and you're like, oh my God, we're 3%, we're 4% of all the movies that are being made. It's staggering, and it's disheartening, but I have to stay focused on, for one, when I have my opportunities, which I absolutely fight for, I give everything because we have to make good films because that affects those coming up behind us. And me being in this position, having gotten through the door, it's absolutely my responsibility to reach back and find those new voices. And that's exciting. I love watching short films. I love going to film festivals because you can see, you really can see, oh, they've got something. Like Channing Godfrey Peoples, who did Miss Juneteenth. I saw her film early and I was moved by it. I said, this woman is talented. It's exciting to find those new voices. And then it's about, who can I introduce you to? How can I help your path be a little easier than mine has been? So it's absolutely, we have to continue to do good work and help others, but Hollywood itself has got to figure this out. And I feel like right now there is a change happening, absolutely. Given the conversations I've had with people in power calling me up and legit asking, what do we need to do? And hearing me when I lay out the things that they have been doing wrong and not getting defensive for the first time ever. Because usually it's like, yeah, we know we're messing up. But now it is, yes, we are messing up and we are going to fix it. So I'm encouraged by that. And I hope that this energy sustains itself because there are so many really good filmmakers out there with so many stories to tell that just haven't been given the opportunity. And I mean, I want to see those stories, absolutely. And the world needs to see that as well.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that you kind of touched upon in that response was film festivals, which right now are just getting hit not left and right with COVID-19. And I know that film festivals were a big part of probably why we're having this conversation today for you. So, how can you talk very briefly about like what an impact the film festivals had on your career? And do you feel like they are really doing more than like Hollywood is to actually help filmmakers of color, Black filmmakers, and women filmmakers?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is an outlet that is there. Sundance, what Sundance has done in elevating female filmmakers of color, is so necessary. The studio system has, it doesn't seem like it, but they do have a finite number of films they're making. At this time, it is absolutely tent poles, and one or two, that fall right below that. So there needs to be an outlet, and film festivals are that. I think about, God, that first screening of Love and Basketball at Sundance. I will never forget what that felt like. Beyond the Lights at Toronto. And honestly, I had to fight my studio to even submit to Toronto. Them not thinking, because there were Black characters in it, we're just going to sell it this one way, the way I sold all my Tyler Perry films, which is exactly what they said to me. And I was like, can we try something different? I wanted to do Toronto, having to literally fight to even submit it. And then it got accepted. And when it got accepted, that shamed them into having to let us go there. But it shouldn't be that. It should not be that hard.
No, I honestly will never be able to understand that, but like I can help and be an ally and start fighting the good fight with you. And I support so many of these films. It's why I go to film festivals. I I love film festivals more than majority of studio movies, just for the simple fact that I know that's where the real heart and soul of cinema comes from nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I fell in love with you and your work, is because I've seen your movies like Love and Basketball and Beyond the Lights, which I actually saw at Toronto. So thank you for fighting for that.
Well, thank you.
Um,
I have to say it's so important for you guys to elevate these voices that aren't getting that big machine behind, and it means a tremendous amount for a filmmaker when, you know, when a critic speaks about a film or talks about a film or champions a film. Again, when you've felt so invisible for so long, it's a really necessary and very cool thing. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. Happy to help. Happy to be with you in the fight. Let's just put it that way. I want to ask you. I know you probably have to go, but I want to ask you one last question, and I'll let you go. From a filmmaking perspective, I know that you've directed films that you also wrote. And then you've also done a couple like TV shows, and I guess Old Guard would consider be in this category, where you actually just directed and you didn't write. Which one do you prefer, and why?
That is incredibly easy. Directing what I've written is the absolute best. It's 100% my vision. And when I'm writing, I am directing, I'm seeing it. It becomes so real to me. And I know the characters in the story better than anybody. And that gives you an incredible confidence. The good thing about being a writer is that, like a film like Old Guard, again, Greg did a phenomenal job, and I love his graphic novel, and it was my Bible, and he did the adaptation. But he was also open to me bringing my ideas to the script, and me just being able to get my fingers in there and write some stuff helps connect me to it. So it was a very good collaboration, very good situation with the Old Guard. But at the end of the day, writing and director, I consider myself a writer-director.
Sounds good. Thank you very, very much. I really look forward to this movie coming out. I look forward to people talking about it all weekend. And I don't know if this is possible, because I've actually never seen, well, I guess there's a Kissing Booth 2 now. But I'm hoping that you get the opportunity to make the sequel.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that very much. We'll see if the audience wants it.
Yeah, I think so. Come on. Come on. What can't you want in this movie? It's got awesome kick-ass, women. I mean, you got, like, you're behind the camera. I mean, the cinematography, the editing, it's just great. Come on. You can't ask for a better friggin' movie.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Keep fighting the good fight. And if you need anything from me, feel free to reach out, and I'll help you as much as I can.
No, I love that. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
All right, Scott.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.